What you about to eat?
Huh?
I heard the microwave go off.
No, that's the dishwasher.
It beeps at you like a microwave.
I interrupted it because we ran it before we were recording. So anyway,
Gotcha. What you sipping on?
Dalwhinnie Distillers Edition, double matured. That was one of my Christmas presents from Sarah. So
That reminds me I should get some water. BRB.
okay. All right. So you ready? Oh, you didn't have your headphones in. Now, are you ready?
Yeah, we doing the game?
Oh, we're gonna have to do the game because like getting first pick, I think matters quite a bit to you.
Maybe. All right. Ready?
We're not gonna like do the intro.
Of course. Of course, they're gonna do the intro.
We're recording, so go for it.
Welcome into the Cine-Siblings Draft, the podcast where me and my brother take turns drafting things from movies. And in this case, we're doing Tom Hanks movies. We're going in to do draft movies from a particular actor for the very first time. Yeah. My name is Ian.
I'm James.
And James, you have some thoughts about Tom Hanks?
I mean, yeah, I love Tom Hanks, and the more I did a little bit of homework for this podcast, I was kind of like going, wow, he might be my favorite actor, because there's so many really good movies there that I just love, or maybe he's just really good at picking particular roles. Or maybe he's got a really good agent. I don't know, but I am really happy with his work. So yeah, excited to pick some things. And I think in this draft, he's got so many good movies with just the two of us going. There's going to be a lot of good stuff left on the table.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, I have not seen all of his movies. I mean, it's kind of hard to catch every movie of a particular actor, but I mean, yeah, even if of all the movies we've seen collectively, there's going to be some good stuff left on the table, I think. And there might be some stuff left on the table because we haven't seen it. We can't analyze it to rank it and draft it. So,
yep.
Yeah.
All right. So
Tom Hanks is very good at playing the everyman.
Yeah.
He tends to do that, but he's also very just very versatile, I think, in his prowess. So, if you are just joining us, this is officially our first episode of season 2. And if you're not familiar, we tend to play a little game to see who gets first pick. And that game is we pick an actor and we take turns naming movies
he's
that particular actor's in. Yeah. So it's random. And today, I'm sorry, I didn't finish. If you mess up, you name a movie that they weren't in, or you can't name one in time, that's usually the case, you're out. Yeah. So today's actor, I've shuffled the deck of actors. Today's actor is Natalie Portman.
Oh, I didn't even recognize that photo of her.
Oh, sorry. It's Natalie Portman.
Okay.
All right.
I don't
Jamie,
know.
you can go
we
first.
Usually do this game with a guest. Okay.
Yeah, and we let the guest go first. Yeah.
The Phantom Menace.
I'm sorry. Full title.
No, come
on. 4.
Thor 2, The Dark World.
All right. Black Swan.
Oh, that's what I was gonna do. Was it Friends with Benefits. Wasn't?
Is it Friends with Benefits or is it No Strings Attached? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember.
I think you're right.
I don't remember
I think the
though.
other one's Mila Kunis.
Okay.
Garden State.
Oh, dude. All right, I'm out, I guess, because I really, really was thinking of that movie where she's like the Walmart mom. I think that was like her breakout role, but I couldn't think of the name of it. Do you know what the name of it? Yeah, she had a
Walmart
baby.
mom.
She has the baby in the Walmart. It was like her first big movie where she was a lead in. So it was good. I saw it on the television, like television. Yeah, I guess it was
on the
on the
telly.
telly. No, it was actually just.
I had a few in the chamber there.
Yeah.
Annihilation and Leon the Professional.
I could have gone through the rest of the prequel trilogy too, but
oh, you named Phantom Menace, and I was like, oh, well, I'm out. I'm out of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
All right. So first pick, of course, Dirt the Dirt, Tom Hanks movie Draft Time. My first pick has to be Saving Private Ryan. I'm going to keep it brief because, if you want to hear our thoughts on Saving Private Ryan, we had the World War II draft where we drafted our favorite World War II movies. It was my first overall pick there. And then we did an entire episode on Saving Private Ryan with our friend Josh. And dude, this is his best movie. This is one of Spielberg's best movies. They've teamed up several times. That's my dog who agrees with me.
Indeed.
And then, I just think that, like I said, he plays the everyman so well. Mm-hmm. And in this movie, he was this sort of everyman, this teacher who was just coached Little League or coached the high school baseball team. He taught English composition, and then now he's this sort of badass Ranger captain who has all the weight of all these decisions he has to make, and the weight of all the death that he feels that he's responsible for all these lives. And like I said, I'm not going to go into too much, but as a Tom Hanks movie, it's incredible.
I agree. I mean, I had just had to bump this down to number 2 for me. And I was gonna pick it first, and I was really gonna fight for it because knowing that I would get it. There's just so many good movies, and my number 1 pick is one I just think features him a little bit more, and that is going to be Forrest Gump.
It's definitely on my short list.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie. It did split critics, I think, a little bit, but I think it won the Academy Award for Best Picture, I believe. And it's such a standout movie. It's one of those movies that I never get tired of watching it. It's not a movie I put on repeat either, but it's kind of got this epic quality to it. And Hanks just does such an amazing job playing a character who's, he's mentally handicapped, and physically gifted. It's a little bit different apparently than the novel, which I haven't read, but I've read about, where Forrest Gump's more of an idiot savant and actually becomes an astronaut sort of thing, which is a little bit beyond the pale, I think. But also we have I'm hearing talks about having a sequel to it. I don't know that it needs that. Well, I kind of don't want that.
Forrest Gump, as a novel, I believe that he did a lot more things. He was involved in a lot more extraordinary things. And I guess you could do a sequel where they, fill out some of the stuff they cut from the novel. But I think this movie is incredible as is. And you mentioned it won Best Picture Oscar. It won 6 Oscars. Best Picture,
Right.
Best Actor in a Leading Role for Tom Hanks, Best Director for Robert Zemeckis of Back to the Future fame, uh, Best Best Writing Screenplay based on a previously produced or published, Best Film Editing, Best Visual Effects, and that's six. So, but it was
Well,
also nominated for all the other ones.
right. And one of the things though about it is when I'm going through this, I kind of want to go, well, is it, you're doing the best Tom Hanks movies. Is it Tom Hanks's best performance in a film, or is it the best movie that features Tom Hanks? And so you kind of got to, I really got to go with a balance here. So anyway, my number one pick, Forrest Gump. I love the movie. I think a lot of people do. From a history standpoint, it's fun, it's funny, it's serious, it's got everything in it. So, you know, I just think it's a film that you can rewatch, and rewatchability is one of the things that really makes a great film for me.
And I may be damning myself here for taking Saving Private Ryan at first. IMDb lists Saving Private Ryan as number 26 on the top rated movies of all time. And it lists Forrest Gump as number 12.
Well, there's a common denominator there.
It's Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan is much more of an ensemble flick with the center being on.
It's a World War II movie. War movies tend to be that way. So.
Well, yeah. Just Forrest Gump. It's a great pick. I mean, it's definitely on my short list. So definitely jacked me there. But it's one of the most quotable movies of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, life is like a box of chocolates, and I wasn't hungry but thirsty. Almost drank me about 15 Dr. Peppers. It's like it's a run Forrest run, like Jenny. There's infinite quotes from that.
All the kinds of shrimp.
Oh yeah, Bubba. You ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely a worthy pick for your number one. So let's move on. You want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's head into round two.
All right, and that's going to be me because we did snake draft.
Snake draft.
All right, so I'm going to actually pick one that I don't think really kind of it probably isn't your first pick when you or your normal top five pick of Tom Hanks movies, but it's one I just enjoy, and it's another one I just enjoy watching again and again and again, and that's Catch Me If You Can.
You jacked me, bro.
Good. All right. So
it's not only on my short list; it's in my top five.
Yeah, well, it was in my top five too. I think Tom Hanks in his serious straight man shtick, which it's kind of funny because he starts as a very slapstick sort of comedian and cross-dressing and bosom buddies on TV. And not a serious actor, and then he comes in and now he's like everybody's dad, or now you're getting into like grandpa territory. He's the everyman, he's the straight man, and here he's playing the federal agent across from Frank Abagnale, from played by Leonardo DiCaprio, also obviously a very charismatic actor as well. And so the chemistry that they have going on where he's the antagonist, a good guy, but the antagonist of the film, it works so well. And I enjoy that about him because I'm like, I don't know how to root against him because he's Tom Hanks and because he's such a likable kind of guy, it makes me feel the conflict that I'm supposed to feel with rooting for Leonardo DiCaprio's character as a con man. And it's like going, I really should be rooting for Tom Hanks. And I kind of can, but I'm like going, but no, I want to be the rebel. And so it really does create that conflict in the audience. So it's just a really top-notch film. So that's Catch me if you can.
Tom Hanks teams up with the director Steven Spielberg again.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this is based on real life people, Frank Abagnale and Carl Hanratty, respectable. And you mentioned Tom Hanks being your probably favorite actor. Leonardo DiCaprio is mine.
Yeah,
he never puts in a bad performance. I mean, when he goes for a role, he goes for a role, and I mean, do you concur?
I concur.
I love this movie so much, and it has to do. It is. I mean, it's just like this cat and mouse game between these two characters, and like I said, it was in my top 5. So
You know, one of the other things about Hanks's character in the film is, you know, a lot of times with these federal agents, you know, after these very charismatic con men types, they make them out to be bumbling fools. But
right.
he's not. He's very smart. He's getting beaten a lot, but he's not stupid. He's just having to face things that they've never had to face before. So I like that about it. It doesn't. He's playing somebody who's very and again, I think this is the first one that we've come across yet where he's playing a real person, and I think there's a lot of real people that he tends to play in these based on true stories or biopic type films. So because
he's definitely started picking that up.
Yeah, he's like an the everyman sort of thing is he looks like a regular guy. You know, he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger or Leonardo DiCaprio Leonardo DiCaprio is just too pretty, like, you know, that sort of thing. So anyway, what's your number 2 pick?
Hold on.
Or finish your thought. Sorry.
Oh, you were talking about hey, he looks like an everyday guy. We were watching Splash the other night, and my wife goes, "Why is he in so many rom-coms? He's not that attractive." And I was like, "Because this is early 80s, 90s. It was the everyman gets the pretty girl, not the Matthew McConaughey and, you know, the rom-coms we got in, you know, later, you know, 2000s."
Right. Well, this is one of the things about like when you talk about like the psychology behind pro wrestling. One of the things with heels or the bad guys, the villains in pro wrestling, is some of the psychology is you want the really these pretty guys because other guys don't like you, but the girls do, and that's one of the reasons that they don't like you. So like there is that sort of mentality in those rom-coms, and I think it's lent itself to Tom Hanks's popularity to some extent as well, and him being a believable romantic lead. All right,
my number 2 pick, Toy Story. It's got to be Toy Story. This is,
it's on my list.
I mean, yeah. It's one of the greatest animated movies of all time. It's Pixar's debut feature-length film. I mean, you have Tom Hanks and Tim Allen bouncing off each other, you know, voice acting. And he doesn't appear in the movie, but it is, you know, obviously voice acting. But does it animation-wise, Pixar-wise, does it get more iconic than Woody and Buzz? Especially Woody, as he's the centerpiece for most of these Toy Story movies as a whole.
Right. I mean, well, Buzz Lightyear kind of loses it after the third one. I don't know if that was designed, you know, based on something regarding Tim Allen, kind of trying to sideline him or something. But you know,
I mean, the second one is mainly just Buzz's story,
right?
About him,
exactly.
Yeah, so not Buzz's story. I mean, it's Woody's story.
Woody's story. No, but which is the one with all the clone Buzz Lightyears too? Isn't that the second one? So they have that in there as well.
I mean,
so
when
it's pretty focal.
When they go to the toy store. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it kind of does these separate storylines, so, you know, the old school toys versus the new school toys. But no, I think one of the things that Tom Hanks is really gifted at doing, um, that I can't say that it works for everybody, is he is gifted in so many different roles. He can do solo, he can do ensemble, he can do, you know, the buddy type movies, you know, where he's just playing off one other main character. So he's a very versatile actor, and I think that's why you see him. So yeah, I think Toy Story, I mean, certainly it's iconic, it's classic. It is the anchor linchpin of Pixar. They started with it, they haven't quit with it. Um, you know, maybe with Toy Story 4 they'll stop, but who knows. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I love his interplay with Tim Allen on there. Um, can't I mean, you can't argue with that. That's a good solid number 2 pick.
Yeah, and I mean, this out of all these movies, this is definitely the one I've seen the most. I
Yeah,
mean, maybe
yeah.
Saving Private Ryan for me, but Toy Story. I mean, as we had a nephew born in the year 2000, we watched a lot of Toy Story 1 and 2.
I
And
still show it to
it's
my kids,
still
but they've got more options now.
right. I
You
mean, but
know.
it's still so. It seems so relevant. Like you still see tons of kids as Buzz and Woody, you know, for Halloween every year. So
Yeah.
it's crazy how it's just kind of what in '95 when it came out.
Is it?
95. I was on the dot.
Wow.
Um,
And you know, one thing that I think, you know, we kind of miss the mark on sometimes in discussing things is, you know, oh, these, you know, iconic cartoon characters, this one's, these, you know, Toy Story is for boys. I mean, not in my experience, like, and that's anecdotal, but uh, my daughter likes it just as much as my son did. You know,
yeah,
at the same age, it's like it's just fun, and so, you know, that sort of thing doesn't really bother them as much, I guess, not at those young ages. So,
yeah.
all right, your number 3 pick.
All right. Well, let's head into round 3. All right, my round 3. Kind of flip flopping between two of them, but I'm going with The Green Mile
All right.
with Tom Hanks as the prison guard, right?
Yeah, he's
Is he
like
a prison guard? Is he? He's not the warden,
yeah,
right?
no, he's not the warden, but he's basically like the lead prison guard guy
Right.
for uh I can't remember, like the wing or whatever, but it's death row.
Does this take place in Louisiana?
Ooh, that was a good question. I thought it might have been Louisiana, might have been Mississippi. I don't remember.
Anyway, this is
It's
based on a
not
Stephen
real.
King novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on a Stephen King novel directed by Frank Darabont. He Frank was the original showrunner for The Walking Dead, and after they fired him, it went way downhill. But
Hmm.
of course, it stars Tom Hanks and Michael Clark Duncan, rest in peace,
Yeah.
as John Coffey. This
Like the
movie's
drink was spelled different.
this movie is incredible, man. Like
Mhm.
it hits you in all kind of the feels when you watch it. We watched it recently. I didn't watch it for this. I didn't need to
Mhm.
rewatch it to
Yeah.
know my love for this movie. But I showed it to my wife for the first time, and she was just like, at the end, that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Like, she does this
Yeah.
thing where she's like, when she really feels, something for a movie,
Mhm.
she's definitely moved by it.
Yeah. It is one of those
This is one
movies
of
that I
those
do
movies.
trouble like rewatching, not because it's bad in any way, but because it does have the emotionally taxing parts are very emotionally taxing. And so it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's messed up that, you know, it's like, it points out certain injustices, and, you know, and you feel it, and you feel it very viscerally. and you know, it can be hard to subject yourself to after you've done it before, you know.
Right. James Cromwell plays the warden, and there's a
Oh.
scene where John Coffey, he takes the sickness out of the
Hmm.
warden's cancer-ridden wife, and it's one of those like great moments in film where you're just like, oh my god, this
Hmm.
is. I mean, it's Stephen King. It's going to be probably 85% chance that it's got something supernatural going on. But yeah, and this character is obviously wrongly convicted, and yeah, definitely a sad one,
Yep,
but moving at the same time.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's my number two pick.
That's your number 3 pick.
That's my number three pick. My number two pick was Toy Story. Sorry,
Yeah.
we're in the third round.
All right. So
Yeah.
this one's tough, but I'm gonna go just down my list and my original order based on the things that you've jacked. And I am gonna go with Apollo 13. Uh, I rewatched this movie. Did I jack you?
No, I
No.
fell asleep.
Oh, I rewatched it recently. I like it. It is another one of those based on a true story films,
Yeah.
obviously, and I really like Hank's. You know, this is a different sort of role. It's a very different sort of thing to play because astronauts. And I also watched a lot of I think it was history buffs on YouTube about this movie and what they got right, and a lot of this was very accurate. And there isn't, um, you know, the people you know, the person he's portraying, but the people that all the astronauts are portraying, you know, are very cool, calm, collected, super highly trained, the most disciplined men basically in our country. Um, you know, and they had to dial up the emotions for the film, otherwise it would have been even less so. But I think it's a really good portrayal. I know it's Ron Howard directed it. I think it's an amazing film, and it is moving. It's another one of those things that kind of I don't know if it. I guess it's part of that very you know, strong America kind of vibe. It exudes uh, during that post-war Cold War era, during the space race, and I just think it's a movie that is I think it's very moving and very exciting without while telling a true story using real events. Uh, so, you know, maybe it's less, I don't know, exciting than some of his other films, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it won 2 Oscars, and I mean, look, I haven't tried to watch this in a very long time, so yeah,
Mm.
I'm usually in for a good snooze fest kind of a movie. Not, I don't fall asleep during movies, but I like boring movies a lot of the times. But Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton, Kevin Bacon, Gary
Gary
Sinise,
Sinise.
Ed Harris. I mean, what a stacked all male cast. But
Well, I mean, they've got
obviously,
wives,
yeah,
but
no,
also
I
this
know,
is
I know.
it's
I know
they.
it's up the astronauts, so there was no. Yeah, I got it. But
It's like your
uh,
source material, dude. Don't even.
I know. But they did. There is a lot. I remember there being a lot of focus on one of the wives in particular.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a scene. Look, this is how long it's been. There's a scene where she like loses her wedding ring and it goes down the
Right.
drain.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right. It may
That's one of
mean
those
something
scenes
to
that
me
really
now that
stuck.
I'm married.
Right, but like it was also, you know, she kind of saw it as an ill omen. Like I remember asking
Right.
mom about that scene, that
I
particular
do
scene, and
too.
she explained it.
I
I
do.
think we were together, and
Yeah.
she explains it to us, and we're kind of like, oh yeah, that's not good. Oh man, you know, and then you know everything happens, and
Tom
it's
Hanks
kind of
had
like
quite a Tom
what?
Hanks had quite a 1995 though. This one came out in 95 along with Toy Story.
Wow. Well,
Yeah. This was Was this his first like real serious role?
No, no. Philadelphia was 93.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least. Well, that, and I don't know if that was even his first serious role, but that was definitely like a much darker, more serious movie for him. But yeah. Anyway,
Right.
so was it my number 4 pick?
Yeah, let's head into the fourth round.
Um. All right, so call me predictable, but I'm going on my list. Castaway.
It's on my short list.
It's a it's a bold movie. It's not necessarily my favorite of Tom Hanks, but the film it's moving, but it's just like it puts so much on an actor, and there are a few actors who can handle such roles, but it's very cool to see the utter transformation that he actually went through. Going from your FedEx delivery guy who's starting to get his life together into this survivor man. And I mean, I love it. I love, like, the survival aspect really kind of intrigues me. I love all the survival shows. I got into Man versus Wild with Bear Grylls and Les Stroud and Survivor Man, and even that dual survivor show for a little while. Like, I like that kind of stuff. And so Castaway is kind of fun for me. And, you just look at it and you're like, okay, well, I'm game. And dude makes you, like, there's that thing of like, here you go, you need to sell me this pen. Like, that's like a salesman thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a stereotype now. Tom Hanks can sell me that this volleyball has feelings, that this volleyball is a character, is a person, or has a personage, and it is important. And that
Right.
the loss of him is as a death. That's impressive to me. And
Oh,
it's not just Tom Hanks alone. And obviously, it's directorial choices and writing and everything like that. And I don't mean to downplay the others. But, it's kind of like being the president. The actors get a lot of the credit, even if they do or don't deserve it. It's like the economy is good. Well, that's the president's fault. Or it's bad. That's the president's fault. It's like, okay, whatever.
right.
So it's the lead actor gets a lot of the credit, or so is the director. But
He teams up with a familiar director again in this one with Robert Zemeckis,
mm-hmm.
which Forrest Gump. So
Mm-hmm.
this one is bold. Like you said, it is bold, but if anybody can pull this off, it's Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a few other ones that you could really, just throw in the wilderness with a volleyball, but the when he makes fire for the first time,
Yeah,
like you're like, yes,
yes,
the iconic Tom Hanks laugh.
that wheeze. He's got that wheeze into
right.
just a guttural laugh. It's brilliant.
Yeah, love it. This movie is one of those that you can revisit a lot because there are lots of range of emotions, and it's not too terribly long at 2 hours and 23 minutes. But yeah, I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah. All right.
That was your number 4 pick?
That's number 4. Your number 4.
So it's my number 4 pick? Boo, we are zooming through these. I guess I don't know, but we're zooming through. Okay. I saw this movie a lot, like when it came out. Mom rented it at Blockbuster, but
so it's not one of his new ones.
No, not one of his new ones. Early 2000s, and this is kind of a departure for Tom Hanks because he's playing a not so good guy in The Road to Perdition.
Oh,
Yeah, based on the
yeah.
graphic novel of the same name. Dude, I rewatched it last night,
Uh-huh.
and I had forgotten a lot of the stuff. Obviously, I haven't seen it
Hmm.
since, in over almost 20 years, but I was just like, whoa, like, frick. It's like at the end, you think it's going to be this sort of bittersweet, like, yeah, the boy kills the bad guy who's played by Jude Law, and you're like, but it's just this endless cycle of violence that is put forth, and the kid can't do it. He can't pull the trigger. He can't kill his father's killer, and his dad actually does it for him.
Hmm.
And then we get a little narration, which whatever, but it's like I get it. The cycle of violence is broken, but it's the narration is the kid uh, saying like, and that's the last time I ever held a gun. But he
Hmm.
didn't use it that time. But the last time he ever held a gun, and if we get a really, it is bittersweet because he loses his family, the kid, and kind of goes and lives with some other people that he lived on the road, that he met on the road, but at a farm or something. But spoiler
Spoiler
alert, I
warnings.
guess. Yeah, we always do spoilers, but this movie's like uh, really, 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 really good.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, I do remember it being quite a departure for Tom Hanks. And I mean, it works for me. One of the things that it does show, and one of the reasons I do really like the film and like the casting of Hanks in the role is he's still an everyman. And I'm strongly of the opinion that the that people who become criminals, not all of them are your psychopaths, your sociopaths, some people just become that based on their life circumstances and other things as
Yeah,
well. And so, if not, if not for the grace of God, there go I. Um, and so that's kind of a thing that kind of plays subconsciously in the role, in the casting there. So yeah.
and Tyler Hoechlin is actually the kid who's all grown up now and plays Superman in the CW
Mm.
DC verse. He's getting his own series with uh, Superman and Lois. But yeah, this movie's directed by Sam Mendes, who recently has reaped a lot of praise for his work on 1917. He directs the hell out of this, man. It's serene. Like there's not. It's about violence, obviously, the entire thing. There's lots of killing, but it doesn't like
Doesn't have the
bask in
chaotic
it.
feel.
Right. It doesn't bask in the glory of like, oh, all these people are dying. Like, look at
Hmm.
all the carnage. It's very, very serene, and that even the sound cuts out, and what his, Tom Hanks is doing his thing.
Hmm.
But it also plays homage to a lot of the older mobster movies, which this is very
Right.
much a mobster movie.
Hmm.
Um, so,
I don't
like
know if
the cutaway where you just see Tom Hanks pulling the trigger,
right.
like this is the scene you'll see, and then
Hmm.
but you don't see the body being killed.
Right. And one of the things I think that this movie does a little bit differently with the violence, and I don't know if serene is the exact word I would use, but the it's almost, it doesn't glorify it in
That's what I'm
this.
saying.
Yeah, it's like it lacks the glory of some of these very violent movies, particularly gangster movies, which can be, mob movies can be like, it's like, oh yeah, these are bad guys, but man, wouldn't it be cool if you could just blow them all away? It's kind of like the Grand Theft Auto sort of feeling. It's like, yeah, I know this guy's evil, but man, does this relieve some stress?
Right.
I remember playing, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I'd have to come home from work and be like, all right, I need to run some people over in the sports car. It's like, uh, but I mean, it says it in the title, Road to Perdition. I mean, that's the road to hell. Um, But
Well,
it's,
their perdition is the place they're headed in the film. But yes,
yes, I
I
know,
get
but
it.
it's got a double meaning. Come on.
I know, I know. But
Anyway,
yeah, I always wanted to check out the graphic novel it was based on. I'm interested in reading that for sure.
check out your
That's always
local
fun.
library.
Or
You never know.
comic book shop.
Oh yeah, comic book shop. That'll work. All
Yeah.
right. So, Ian, it's your round 5.
All right.
Okay.
My fifth pick. Lots of films are being taken here, of course. And it's a movie I hadn't seen until a few days ago. This is one of the newer ones.
Hmm. You cut out for a second. Go back.
Captain Phillips.
Yeah, there you go.
Captain Phillips. And here's Tom Hanks playing a real person again.
Mm-hmm.
This very intense event that happened in 2009, I believe, 2000 something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I thought it was 13,
it's
but I
about
can't remember.
he plays a shipping boat captain of the Maersk,
Maersk, Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you're
they
right.
are taken over by Somali pirates. So,
It was 2009 event. The movie was 2013.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
2009 event. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this stuff on the news, and I remember it going on for several days. And the movie does kind of speed it up a little bit. They're not, day in and day out.
It's
Him being held
implied,
as a
but
hostage.
not dragged out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie, I thought when it started, I thought it was going to be paced very slowly. And then the intensity kicked up.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't let up. It did not let up until the very end. And even that, like, you're just kind of like, after he's saved or whatever, him sitting, and this is one of my favorite Tom Hanks moments, I think, acting moments, is when he's sitting getting checked out by the Navy doctors or the corpsmen, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, holy shit, like I believe this. I believe that he's just been held hostage. He's been beat to hell. He's been for days and scared for his life. And I believe that these people were medics trying to help him. Like, it was just one of those scenes that was so, like, surreal, I guess. But
yeah. No, this was on my list.
The intensity of this movie is something to behold. And I believe, Paul Greengrass, the director, he really kicks it up and doesn't let up. He does not let you, like, if I saw this in the theater, I'd been on the edge of my, like, sitting up on the edge of my, on my seat. If, back when we didn't have nice recliners in our theaters.
Yeah.
But what a movie.
No,
This is definitely
I remember following this.
Watch more.
I remember following this story in 2009 when it was happening and unfolding, and kind of going like, what do you mean they're still pirates? What the heck is going on here? And so, like, my attention was grabbed. So was, much of the country, but it did, I believe it unfolded for a period of days. And you're kind of like going, okay, well, and like you talked about going and thinking it was going to be paced very slowly. And I kind of felt the same thing, because I actually was paying attention to the story. And of course I know how the story is going to play out. And, like, well, are they going to, do some sort of different sort of thing, with the ending? But no, it's pretty true to form. As far as the details, I don't know exactly everything they took license with, but no, I mean, I really enjoyed the film. It's another one that I would watch again. So it's a good one, a good way to round out your picks.
Yeah, and I know I talked about the magnificent, like, how great Tom Hanks was or whatever, but I want to give credit to Barkhad Abdi, the guy who played the pirate Muse.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, dude killed it for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to see him, in more stuff. But
Yeah. Now,
yeah,
was he a Somalian actor, or was he Ethiopian? Because I know he was from like East
he's from
Africa.
Somalia,
Oh, he's from Somalia. Yeah, I know.
Mogadishu.
Okay.
That's got to be pretty surreal too, as these actors from Somalia playing these real life pirates, and when there's a lot of terrible stuff going on still in
Mm-hmm.
those countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe he was in Blade Runner 2049 though. The Barkhad Abdi.
Well, good.
Yeah, he's still working. So
Excellent. All
all right,
right.
yeah, that was my fifth round pick. So
Okay.
Jamie, let's hear your last pick before we hit a bench warmer.
All right. Well, you know that I got to go pick something oddball. I've been pretty run of the mill. Now, none of mine have been any of Tom Hanks's comedies, and quite frankly, he's got quite a number of good comedies. But I'm going to go with 1987's Dragnet.
I knew it.
How'd
I
you
knew
know
you
it?
had because you talk about this movie. I
I love
remember we
it.
having a
It's
recording. It was like a recording at the end of a He-Man or something, or one of our family films taped over or something. I don't know.
oh, and there was like the end of the movie or whatever.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like us playing baseball on a T-ball or something, and then it like goes fuzzy, and then it's Tom Hanks and what's his
Dragnet, Dan Aykroyd, and
Dan
that's
Aykroyd
that.
in Dragnet
And
recorded off the
Will,
tip of something.
and really, it's not just Tom Hanks in this. It's really Dan Aykroyd. But like the two of them, their interplay is so fun for me to watch. It's very classic 80s sort of stuff. It's a buddy cop film, but it's also like conspiracy theories, and they have like literal Satan worship, as the Satan worshipers as the
The
villains.
pagans.
Yeah, but it's like very obviously like this old Baphomet type, you know, goat-headed god thing
Right.
that they're worshiping. And but really, what movie it's I feel like it's basically the precursor for. It's one that got an honorable mention in our last draft, Zootopia. It's got a similar sort of thing going on there.
Interesting. Way to
Yeah, I just like to
connect
make
those two
those
dots.
connections. Oh well. Anyway, so yeah, Dragnet is really just it's so fun. It's a movie you can watch over and over again if you like Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. And this is Tom Hanks is just letting loose in this film, and he hasn't done his serious stuff yet. So this is just one of his classic comedic roles. But I felt like I needed something. You've got Toy Story where he's doing some comedy. I felt like I needed some comedy in my list. So Dragnet it is. All right, now let's hit some honorable mentions.
Okay, we can do that. How many are we doing?
Let's do two, but I do want to throw in Sarah's pick, and I know this won't be on yours. Which
So
I
you're going to
asked
take
her.
your first honorable mention here?
No, I'm going to give her an honorable mention because
Okay.
she's the wife and she gets that. No, because I actually asked her what her favorite Tom Hanks movie was, and she's like, I don't know that I really like Tom Hanks that much. I was like, what? And she goes, I don't know. I just, and I was kind of like, okay. She went, I guess Polar Express. And I went,
Oh, well, yeah.
yeah, okay. There you go. Where he plays like literally every role in the film. It's like the opposite of Castaway, where he's just the one role, but he's
I
everything.
believe he plays a bunch of roles in Cloud Atlas too. But
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm gonna throw an Emily pick in there. It's a movie I haven't seen all the way. Like I've seen bits and pieces of it through my life. It's Emily's, I think, favorite is A League of Their Own.
Oh, I know. That one, if I had seen it recently, it might have made my list.
Right.
But like, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. But I do remember the scene where he's peeing and he just pees forever and ever and ever. He's like
Reminds
hungover or
you of
whatever.
the Austin Powers.
Yeah,
Evacuation complete.
Austin Powers kind
Evacuation
of
complete.
ruins all sorts of stuff because
Oh yeah.
I liked it maybe as a kid, but like probably shouldn't have been watching it. But and Mike Myers just took it too far. Like I
I
liked
love it.
Wayne's World. I loved So I Married an Axe Murderer, but like he just
All right, we'll
went
have
too
to do a
far.
Mike Myers draft soon.
Ugh. All right.
It'll be fun.
Anyway.
So my first bench warmer
Mm-hmm.
is going to be Philadelphia.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, this is his breakout role. This is one of his first serious roles. But he won an Oscar, I believe, the first of his back-to-back run. But I feel like, I know that everybody talks about him in this, but I like Denzel more in this. And I don't agree with all the director's choices. I feel like some of the stuff feels out of place and weird, or maybe it's just something I can't connect with. But it's definitely a worthy movie if you've never seen it. It's very it's still a good movie, and it's definitely
Right.
if you've never like one of those things. If you've never seen it, you need to watch it at least once.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about this film, and one of the reasons why it was so groundbreaking at the time, was, and most people know this now, is it was the first time that AIDS was portrayed in a major motion picture, and it was done with some level of fidelity. But in 1993, you were 4 years old, so it and this was a film that was happening when the AIDS epidemic, it wasn't necessarily as big as when it was in the 80s, but the misconceptions, which are still rampant today, and we have a lot more treatments for AIDS. Like it hasn't been a death sentence for a long time, but back then it was. But like the ways that people who contracted AIDS were treated, and it was really unconscionable. But part of the reason for it was just simple fact of people didn't understand the disease, and there was a lot of fear behind it as well. So this was a really bold a bold film at the time. So looking on it now, we kind of look on and we're like going, I don't get it, without a lot of historical context with it. Which if you watch, like I think it was the CNN series, like short series of the 80s, that covers a lot of it. There's like an episode of it with the AIDS epidemic that would be a good like precursor to watch it. I'm an English teacher. I'm all about knowing your context before you start reading a piece of literature. So, anyway.
Pause.
Resume.
All right. So what's your first bench warmer?
Okay, so I'm going to go with two I've seen recently. Let's just go with, it doesn't really matter. It's the bench warmer. Saving Mr. Banks. I've been wanting to see this since I heard about it, and where Tom Hanks is going to play Walt Disney, and he played a pretty good job. I enjoy it. I think it's a film that folks should go see, but it's really fun to watch him opposite Emma Thompson as this very, very proper English woman versus the very California, West Coast American in Walt Disney. It's like, we're first name basis, and just like, but they're both, very image conscious too, and so it's just very fun to see the interplay between them. And of course, this is a Tom Hanks in a supporting role, but it's a main supporting role, so it's not really a starring Tom Hanks, but he'd be the number two. But yeah. Anyway, Saving Mr.
Yeah,
Banks.
he does this thing where he plays these kind of historical figures too,
Mm-hmm.
because he plays Fred Rogers in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Yeah, I haven't seen that
He's
yet.
not. I haven't either, but he's not the main character. He was
Oh,
nominated for supporting role. The main character is um, Matthew Reese as Lloyd Vogel, who I believe is the journalist.
mm,
But yeah, I haven't seen. I've been. It's on my list to watch. I just never got. I haven't gotten around to seeing it.
okay.
And then he played Ben Bradley, the guy from the Washington Post, in the Post. And that movie was a snooze and a half. But and then he played Sully. He plays Sully in the airplane, the pilot.
Right.
But and then the lawyer in Bridge of Spies. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, Bridge of Spies is actually another one of my honorable mentions, which I really like. But he plays a Charlie. Oh, the guy who wants to intervene in Afghanistan and during the Soviet thing and ends up inadvertently. It's not Charlie Rose.
Donovan.
Is it Charlie Rose's War?
No, he plays James B. Donovan.
Charlie Rose's.
I just looked it up.
That's not
anyway.
Bridges. I'm not talking about Bridge of Spies. I'm talking about Charlie Rose's War. Different
I
film.
don't know anything about that.
It's another historical piece where he plays a real person. So I probably want to see who plays more historical roles, like actual real people, and I'm willing to bet Tom Hanks probably takes the cake on that.
All right, my final bench warmer. I'm gonna just go ahead and just be like, all these movies are very like either funny or kind of funny or very high class drama. I'm going for the popcorn flick. Give me the Da Vinci Code. I want to sit down and just turn my brain off and watch this craziness unfold.
Turn your brain off for real with that film. Dan Brown has got so much crap in there. It's quite annoying.
Oh, I mean, it's not. I mean,
I like the film itself. I do like the film itself. I like the funness of it. My problem with it is that so many people took Dan Brown and what he said about things like the Council of Nicaea and this and Constantine, things like this, and they're just simply not true at all. And like any historian worth their salt who studied it can be like, yeah, no, that's not what happened. And so it's but
fiction.
I know that, but like, it's one of those things that I've had to deal with so much of like talking to people regarding church history or whatever, who just are like, oh no, the Council of Nicaea, and they're literally, I'm like going, that's Dan Brown.
Brown novel.
It's like,
that's when you hit it. You clap back with there's a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence that finds treasure. Or like, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Ooh, how about this? Recast National Treasure, but instead of Nicolas Cage, Tom Hanks.
No. Nicolas Cage is the best about that movie. And National Treasure is one of the few films that Sean Bean doesn't die in.
Diane Kruger is the best thing about that film.
Or Sean Bean not dying.
Okay, fine. But he's also like the bad guy too, so.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I like when they don't kill the bad guy. A lot of movies I like when they don't kill the bad guy, because then you have a chance to like have a recurring bad guy. I love it.
Yeah. All right. I think it's time to recap our top fives. Ian.
My top five is 1, Saving Private Ryan. 2, Toy Story. 3, The Green Mile. 4, Road to Perdition. And 5, Captain Phillips.
Very good. And I, James, number 1, Forrest Gump. Number 2, Catch Me If You Can. Number 3, Apollo 13. Number 4, Castaway. And number 5, Dragnet.
Hell yeah, man. Tom Hanks has got a lot of good movies out there. And like you said, we can only draft 10.
Yeah.
So I mean, we left a lot of good ones off.
just watched Big with my son. I think we talked about that in the Disney one because it's on Disney Plus.
Oh, we talked about, I don't know when we talked about it, but yeah, the
Yeah,
last season finale episode.
yeah. And I was just like, oh man, it's on my short list. It really had it. It was that or Dragnet. So, but if it goes back to movies that I want to watch more than, once every 2 decades, Dragnet over Big for me.
I love in Big where she's spending the night and she's like all sitting on she's laying down on the bottom
Uh-huh.
bunk and he just full on sprints towards her and then jumps on the top bunk. That's my favorite scene in Big.
Yeah, it's fun because it's one of those really oddball roles because you're just like, okay, be a 12-year-old, and he nails it. So yeah,
Yeah.
Tom
We
Hanks,
watched
you do good.
Splash is on Disney Plus too.
Is it okay?
Yeah. And they edited it weirdly. They like
Edit?
CGI'd. Yeah. And to give you a disclaimer, it's like it's been modified from its original version for content. They like
Oh,
CGI'd her hair way longer to cover her butt when she's running across the beach.
oh, interesting.
But then like in the underwater scenes, you get full nip. And I was like, what are you doing, Disney? Like, she was like,
Real?
Emily, my wife was like, this is on Disney Plus,
Hmm.
but they can't do a mature Lizzie McGuire revival.
Okay,
She was very upset with that news. But anyway,
I didn't know
yeah.
that
So
that was the thing.
yeah.
That's a bummer.
Oh well.
Huh,
But yeah, Splash is on Disney Plus too, and they edited it. So
that's a little weird.
yeah. All right. Well, Jamie, what's next week's episode going to be?
I believe next week we decided that we were going to draft iconic movie weapons. Yes, it's iconic movie weapons.
is for you. Yes.
Oh, dude, I don't think that's particularly iconic. I don't know.
I know, but it's iconic for me.
Then that movie. It's we've mentioned Emma Thompson, Kenneth Branagh in Dead Again.
Dude, that's a crazy movie. If we ever talk about that movie, we have to have Mom on.
Oh man, like I'd have to like that movie is so weird. There's so many like the
Twists and
scissors,
turns.
well no, it's the guy who's smoking a cigarette through the hole
Through the hole in his neck.
Yes. And
Talking about an anti-smoking campaign.
yeah, well mom made us watch that and she's like, see, that can happen to you if you smoke. And I'm like, well, why does he stop? And she's like, that's what addiction is. And like it wasn't even like really trying to like scare us that much, but it was like
Mom, I'm 4 years old.
She was trying to scare us. But it was like it worked. I mean,
Right.
tried cigarettes, but I decided that they were not very good for you. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that would be the next time we do a draft will be iconic movie weapons.
Hell yeah, I'm excited for that.
That'll be
We
great.
might have a guest. I don't know yet.
Ooh, that'll narrow it down even more.
Narrow it down even further, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, dude. It's
Well,
always fun hanging out with you on these things. But until next time, we are the Cine-Siblings podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. We just give you these unedited Zoom calls where we're just hanging out in our house. But yeah.
okay.
Sign us out, buddy.
I thought you just did.
Oh, I just signed us out. All right. Well, I'm Ian.
And I'm James.
Until next time, go watch a new movie.
Or enjoy an old one.
Peace.